You did not find this video by accident. Do not think this is just another clip passing across your screen. This is a sign, a signal, a transmission from another version of yourself, your future self, sent back to you right here, right now. Perhaps you have had a strange dream. In that dream, you met someone who looked exactly like you, only older, wiser, or living a life you have never experienced. Perhaps you saw them looking straight at you, saying something, or simply watching in silence with eyes that seemed to know everything beforehand. When you woke up, you were haunted by that dream all day, as if something important had been given to you, yet you could not fully grasp it. What if I told you this was not just imagination, that it was you in another timeline, another future version, sending a message back to guide you toward your next turning point? In quantum physics, time is not linear the way we think it is. Past, present, and future do not flow in one direction. They all exist simultaneously in what is called the eternal now. And that means your future self exists right now. Not tomorrow, not 10 years from now, but now, in another frequency of consciousness. You may have heard of synchronicity, those strange coincidences that feel as if the universe is leaving signs for you. But did you know that many ancient traditions believe dreams were the clearest channel of all? Tibetans call it dream yoga, where one can converse with the higher self. South American shamans believe dreams open into a dreamscape, a realm that truly exists in parallel. And in Eastern philosophy, one question has echoed for thousands of years. Am I dreaming that I am a butterfly? Or is the butterfly dreaming that it is me? So if last night you dreamed of yourself in another form, living another life, even speaking words you never dared to say, it could have been your future self transmitting a message back to you. And perhaps this was not the first time they have tried to reach out. Every time you dream of a strange yet familiar room, a city you've never been to but can recall in vivid detail, or a meeting with someone who has long left this world, treat it as breadcrumbs, scattered fragments from another version of you in another timeline, calling you toward them. This is the reason you are sitting here, hearing these words. Not because of algorithms, not because of coincidence, but because a higher version of you arranged for you to realize this. You are not just dreaming. You are receiving a transmission. Today, we are going to explore this mystery. How dreams can become the bridge connecting you with your future self. And more importantly, how you can listen clearly, remember deeply, and actually act upon those messages. Because once you begin to recognize and respond to these transmissions, you will never live the same way again. You will step into a new timeline. Have you ever had a dream in which you met yourself, but not the version you see in the mirror every day? Perhaps you saw yourself older, with calmer eyes and a confident stride, as if you had already overcome the challenges that now confuse you. Or perhaps you saw yourself living a completely different life, with a family, a job, and memories that do not belong to you now. Yet were so vivid that you wondered, was I just glimpsing a real future? In traditional thought, dreams are often considered nothing more than the brain's byproduct, fragments of memory, fear, and desire shuffled together at random. But if you have ever experienced a dream too real to dismiss, you know. There are moments in dreams that feel like a channel, a meeting between your present self and another version of you, a different timeline. Quantum physics offers a completely new perspective. The many worlds interpretation suggests that every possibility exists simultaneously in countless universes. In one world, you turned left. In another, you turned right. In one timeline, you are sitting here watching this video. In another, you might be doing something entirely different. And all these versions of you are not theoretical. They exist right now. Which means the person you see in your dream, that future self, may not be imagination at all. It could be you, in a timeline a few steps ahead, sending a signal back. In many ancient cultures, this idea was not strange. Tibetans believed that in dreams, people could enter Bardo, the intermediate realm, a crossing space where consciousness could travel between lifetimes and other versions of itself. Ancient Greeks built temples of Asclepius to sleep and dream for healing, believing they could receive guidance from gods or from a higher wisdom within. South American tribes believed that in dreams, people enter the dreamscape, not an illusion, but a parallel soul land where we encounter fragments of ourselves across dimensions. What is strange is that modern science is beginning to suggest something similar. Studies of consciousness and quantum time indicate that the future and the present are not two consecutive points, but exist together in a unified field. What many physicists call the eternal now. In this space, all possibilities are present, and every version of you exists. The only question is, which version does your consciousness tune into? So when you dream of a future self, a version of you who has lived in light, peace, or magnifice, or a life far removed from your present, it may be the moment when two frequencies overlap. Your brain acts like an antenna, catching the signal from another timeline where you have already lived what you are still longing for. Those dreams are not meant for entertainment. They are transmissions, quantum messages, like photons carrying light from a distant star. But whether you recognize that signal is another story. Many people wake up and dismiss it as a strange dream. But a few pause and reflect. Why did I see this? Why did it feel so real? And that is the first step toward connecting more deeply with yourself across timelines. Imagine, there is a version of you who has already moved past the fear you are trapped in. That version has learned self-love, found the right work, and lives in fulfillment. They are not a stranger. They are you. And in the dream, they send you a message. This is real. You can live this way too. This changes everything. It reminds us that personal evolution is not always linear, not simply today into tomorrow, step by step. Sometimes, transformation happens in the instant you connect with another self and decide to bring that energy back into your present timeline. So when you recall a dream in which you met yourself in another form, do not dismiss it as mere imagination. It may have been a true meeting, a moment when you touched yourself in a parallel timeline. And that dream may be the first step toward realizing your future self exists now. Have you noticed that among the hundreds of vague dreams that fade away, there are a few that blaze bright and clear, the ones you cannot forget? As if someone sent a message straight into your mind. These dreams are not the usual fragmented scraps of memory. They are sharp, cinematic, carrying voices, symbols, or a powerful sensation that leaves your heart still racing when you wake. These are the transmissions, the quantum broadcasts your future self sends to you. Imagine this. In another timeline, your version has already found a clearer path. They know how to overcome the fear in which you are still stuck. And they do not exist in some unreachable distance. They are trying to connect, so you don't have to stumble in the dark. Dreams become the channel, the invisible line stretched across the space between realities. The common trait of these transmission dreams is their vividness. You do not just see a random image. You feel as though you were there, hearing, touching, sensing. You may see a half-closed door, a long corridor, a glowing mountain in the dark, all symbols heavy with meaning. You may hear a voice, not from someone else, but your own, only older, calmer, wiser. Or sometimes, It is simply a feeling impossible to mistake. This message was meant for me. In South American shamanic traditions, such dreams are called dream messages, soul messages sent from the other world. In Tibet, luminous dreams are regarded as a spiritual path, where practitioners meet their own higher wisdom. In modern psychology, these dreams are set apart from ordinary ones by their unmatched level of detail and intensity of emotion. Quantum physics offers an intriguing perspective. Your brain is not just a machine that randomly produces dreams. It is like an antenna constantly scanning frequencies in the quantum field. And when you sleep, the rational mind quiets, allowing the antenna to pick up more strongly. A vivid dream is the moment when your frequency and that of your future self align, like two radio stations suddenly syncing. You receive a full packet of information rather than scattered static. So how do you keep and understand these transmissions? The first key is to record them immediately upon waking. The human brain forgets dreams very quickly, but if you write them down, even the smallest detail becomes a clue. Sometimes the message is not in direct images, but hidden in symbols. The repeating number, the door you step through, or a short sentence, all could be a code sent from another timeline. The second practice is cultivating a technique called dream anchoring. Before sleep, set a clear intention. If there is a message, let me recognize it. That intention is not just a whisper. It is a signal you send into the quantum field, opening a two-way line. As you sleep, your consciousness can more easily lock onto the transmissions from another version of yourself. And most importantly, learn to listen through feelings, not just reason. Vivid dreams often carry overwhelming emotions, profound fear, strange comfort, or immense joy. That feeling is the part of the message that cannot be translated into words. It is the frequency your future self is sending. Interestingly, sometimes the message does not appear only once. It may return over several nights, with shifting images but the same core meaning. This is how the quantum field emphasizes: pay attention. This is not random memory debris. This is a signal. If ordinary dreams are whispers, then transmission dreams are a resounding call. They do not come to be ignored, but to be remembered, contemplated, and acted upon. For each time you receive and keep a transmission, you are expanding your ability to connect. You are becoming an open channel where present and future meet. So think back. When was the last time you had a dream too vivid to forget? What did you do with it? Write it down, dismiss it, or quietly carry it with you all day. If you have ever had such a dream, it may have been your future self sending you a message, a pulse from a timeline where you have already become a fuller version of yourself. And when you begin to notice, record, and honor these dreams, you are learning how to receive clear transmissions, a skill not everyone has, but one that anyone can cultivate. Have you ever, in a dream, encountered yourself, but not the you see every day? It was another version, stronger, more confident, wiser. A you whose eyes, voice, or way of walking you could still recall upon waking. What you felt was not a vague imagination, but as if you had just glimpsed yourself in another timeline where everything had already come into wholeness. Such dreams often appear when you are on the threshold of great change. And the striking thing is, the future self does not appear as some distant shadow. They arrive to remind you that within you already exists a highest identity, a greater, expansive self, waiting for you to choose to live aligned with it. In shamanic traditions, this figure is called the spirit self, the guiding soul, the true essence that exists beyond all the masks everyday life forces you to wear. When shamans dream of their spirit self, it is a call to shed old habits, abandon small beliefs, and step onto a new path. In the same way, when you dream of another version of yourself, it is not an illusion. It is the manifestation of higher wisdom, as if your future self were sending you a signal. Begin living as me, right now. Think back to the last time you had such a dream. Perhaps you saw yourself standing in a room, speaking, dressing, and carrying yourself like a completely different person. Perhaps you saw yourself in a strange city, yet radiating a confidence and steadiness you have never shown in waking life. That feeling does not easily fade. It leaves an imprint in the subconscious. This is who I truly am. From a quantum perspective, this is the moment you touch a timeline where you are already living as your highest version. In the quantum field, countless possibilities exist simultaneously, and each of them is a different you. The dream becomes the bridge, where you encounter and sync frequencies with one of those possibilities. When you feel that intense resonance, it is the signal that your consciousness has tuned into that timeline. The question is, what will you do with this experience? Many people wake, feel a brief strangeness, and dismiss it. But if you understand its meaning, you will see it was never just a dream. It was an invitation, a call from your future self. And how you respond to that invitation is the key to embodying your highest identity. In truth, embodying is not about becoming someone entirely new. It is the act of choosing to live as the version you already saw. This begins with small, everyday shifts. If in your dream you were confident speaking, bring that confidence into a real conversation. If in your dream you were healthy, radiant, and full of energy, begin by treating your body as though you already are that person. With each small action, you are realigning your consciousness, gradually pulling the dream reality into your lived reality. Quantum mechanics holds a simple yet powerful principle. Systems respond to states of being, not to wishes. In other words, the universe does not respond to you hoping to be your highest self. It responds when you live as though you already are. There is a story in Greek mythology about Narcissus, the young man who gazed at his reflection and was captivated. But if we shift the perspective, perhaps the dream in which you encounter yourself is not empty self-fascination, but the chance to see a reflection from another timeline. The real question is not, was it real? But, do you have the courage to step into that reflection in waking life? And here lies the intriguing truth. Your future self is not waiting far ahead. They coexist with you, here and now. Within the same quantum field, what you must do is step into their frequency by embodying the very energy you felt in the dream. Sometimes, just one choice. Speaking a truth, breaking an old habit, choosing courage instead of fear is enough to initiate a timeline shift. Remember, dreams are not only places where you observe. They are places where you receive messages, rehearse experiences, and bring them back into waking life. Each dream in which you meet your highest self is a mirror reflecting back at you. And the moment you begin to act from that reflection, you are not only changing the dream, you are changing reality itself. In certain special dreams, you may encounter strange symbols. A door left ajar, a staircase rising endlessly upward, or a radiant beam of light shining from some place you cannot name. When you awaken, those images remain etched in your mind, clearer than any fragmented dream. This is not coincidence. Such dreams are known as threshold dreams, dreams of the threshold. They are not simply for you to observe, but to challenge you. Are you ready to step through? In mystical traditions, the door has always symbolized transformation. In Tibet, dreaming of stepping through a luminous gateway is seen as a sign that you have transcended your old vibration. Approaching Bardo, the intermediate state, where the old reality dissolves and a new one emerges. In the West, in Greek mythology, descending or crossing through dream gates was often tied to the rebirth of a new self. And in the rituals of South American tribes, when a shaman dreams of light or a staircase, it is a summons to leave ordinary consciousness and enter the space of the spirit. From a scientific perspective, these symbols carry another layer of meaning. In quantum physics, a particle does not shift smoothly from one state to another. Before the transition, it reaches a threshold of energy, and only at that threshold does the quantum jump occur. Dreams of doors, stairways, and light can be viewed as quantum symbols, signaling that your consciousness has reached its own energy threshold. And with one courageous step, the timeline will shift. When you dream of such things, it may be your future self calling you to step into a new version of your life. Imagine this. You dream of standing before a great door. You do not know what lies beyond, but within you rises an urgent pull. Step forward. This is the decisive moment. In the dream, you are not merely a spectator, but are given the chance to choose. If you step through, you are sending an unspoken declaration to the quantum field. I am ready. And the universe responds to that choice. For in quantum reality, even the smallest act carries the power to initiate a new reality. Many have reported such experiences. Some dream of climbing endless stairs. With the higher they ascend, the brighter the space becomes. Others dream of being guided across a shimmering bridge, on the other side of which lies an entirely new city. These images not only leave a deep impression, but also give the dreamer the undeniable feeling. I have just been summoned to another place, another version of my life. In shamanic culture, when someone experiences a threshold dream, the community often regards it as a calling from the spirit world, signaling that the person is ready for a transformative journey. In the language of quantum physics, we might call this a coherence signal. Consciousness aligning strongly enough that a new timeline begins pulling you toward it. And when you awaken, the echo of the dream is a reminder. You may remain in your old safe zone, or you may declare that you are ready for transformation. The most important part is not what the dream gives you, but how you respond upon waking. If you dismiss it, it remains only a fragment. But if you treat it as an invitation and begin even the smallest action from that awareness, changing a habit, abandoning an old belief, choosing to take a step despite fear, then you have broadcast a clear message. I choose my new self. And from that moment, the timeline begins to shift. So, revisit your recent dreams. Did you see an opening door? A staircase that leads onward? A light urging you to step forward? If so, do not take them lightly. They may not have been just dreams. They may have been a silent conversation between you and yourself in another timeline. A conversation beginning with the question, are you ready? If you've ever had a dream that left you shaken upon waking, a dream so vivid, so sharp, that it carried the undeniable feeling that someone is trying to send me a message, then perhaps you've just experienced a transmission. Because dreams, from a quantum perspective, are not merely the byproduct of a tired brain. They are channels of information that transcend the limits of space and time. An enigmatic system of communication we might call the quantum communication system. In physics, two phenomena help us glimpse how this could work: retrocausality and non-locality. Retrocausality suggests that the future can influence the present, as though information leaks backward along the timeline. Non-locality asserts that particles once connected can continue to communicate instantly, regardless of distances spanning thousands of light years. Place these ideas into the context of dreams, and we begin to imagine, perhaps while you sleep, your consciousness is linking into a source of information that exists beyond space, beyond time. And the message you receive may come from yourself in another timeline. Across many ancient traditions, dreams have long been viewed as channels of divine communication. The ancient Greeks believed that dreams within the temples of Asclepius were healing messages from the gods. South American shamans describe dreams as the dreamscape, a real terrain where souls exchange knowledge. In Tibetan Buddhism, dreams were seen as realms where one could meet great teachers or even one's own enlightened self for guidance. Every culture agreed, dreams are communication. The only difference is that modern science gives it a new name, resonance within the quantum field. Think back to the last time you dreamt of a voice calling you clearly, as if addressing you by name. Or perhaps a strange symbol, a number, a key, a mirror, or even a moment where you saw another version of yourself step forward, look directly into your eyes, and speak a single sentence. These are rarely random fragments. They carry intent, like radio signals broadcast from a station in the future, with your brain, in its dreaming state, accidentally tuning to the correct frequency to receive them. So how does this quantum communication system actually operate? Imagine your consciousness as a living antenna. During the day, it is overwhelmed with static, work, news, responsibilities. But at night, as consciousness quiets and the brain shifts into the theta state, the antenna begins to tune more precisely. And what you call a strange dream may actually be the moment when that antenna locks onto the signal of another timeline. In that moment, a part of you, in the future, or in a parallel reality, is sending information back through images, voices, sensations. Many modern neuroscientists have studied the phenomenon of visitation dreams, dreams in which people encounter deceased loved ones, or alternative versions of themselves. They've found that the feelings within such dreams are unlike those of ordinary ones. Not chaotic, not fragmented, but strikingly clear, luminous, and charged with unforgettable emotion. This aligns with the hypothesis that in states of high coherence, the human brain may indeed access the quantum field and receive unbroken streams of data. Perhaps you've experienced this, waking up with your heart still racing because you had just been handed a message, not from someone else, but from you, from another point along the universe's tapestry of time. And these messages are rarely for amusement. They are directional, urging you to shift your lifestyle, prepare for an upcoming event, or reminding you that another path still lies before you. In those moments, you are standing at the center of a communication system that stretches across time. On one side, you in the present, searching for meaning. On the other, you in the future, already fulfilled, already walking the path. And the dream becomes the telephone line between those two worlds. Have you ever woken up from a dream and realized that in the dream, you were no longer your everyday self? Perhaps you were someone entirely different, with another job, another face, even another past. Such dreams often leave us unsettled. But from a quantum perspective, this is precisely how your future self uses dreams to remind you that your current identity is only a temporary mask, a small version among countless versions of who you truly are. In daily life, we are bound by what we call identity. It is made of names, careers, memories, beliefs, the stories you repeat about yourself. But in dreams, those layers can dissolve. You might experience living a life unrelated to your current biography. And that is the moment consciousness delivers a powerful message. You are not just the story you tell about yourself. In South American shamanic culture, It is believed that dreams allow us to try on different souls, to learn lessons that the present self may not yet be ready for. In Buddhism, there is the concept of Maya, illusion, the veils that cover and make us forget our true nature. Dreams, in this sense, act as mirrors, reflecting back the masks that obscure your inner light. Quantum physics gives us a similar image. In the quantum field, a particle can exist in multiple states at once until it is measured. This is called superposition. Your current self, with all its beliefs and limitations, is like a temporary measurement, collapsing you into only one version. But in dreams, when logic no longer governs the mind, you can touch other states, versions of yourself you've never considered, but which have always existed in the quantum field. This explains why so many people, after certain extraordinary dreams, suddenly feel inspired to change completely. Some leave behind jobs that held them for years because in a dream they saw themselves living another life, freer, more creative. Others dare to enter new relationships because a dream showed them they were worthy of the love they had always rejected. All of these experiences carry one shared message: release the limitations that your old identity has built around you. But letting go is never easy. Identity is not only a story, it is also a comfort zone. It protects you with familiar fears. It whispers, if you let this go, you'll lose everything. This is why, in many dreams, we find ourselves facing extreme situations. A door that must be opened, a bridge that must be crossed, or a room that must be left behind. These images are the language of the quantum field, urging you to step out of your old self. Spiritual traditions call this moment the dark night of the soul, a stage where you feel yourself dissolving, no longer recognizing who you are. But this is not an ending. It is the disintegration of the old self so that a higher version can emerge. Dreams are often the starting point of this process. In dreams, you are allowed to try on living with a new identity, to feel the energy of a self that is wider, freer. And when you wake, you carry its residue with you, like a seed waiting to germinate. The key is not to ignore the signal. If a dream shows you another version of yourself, stronger, freer, wiser, that is not just illusion. It is a transmission from your future self, urging you to remove the invisible chains and step into the larger space of your being. When you understand this, you realize that dreams are not just random stories. They are tasa, drafts of reality, mirrors that reflect which limits have grown too tight, which beliefs are ready to be released. And through this very process, you learn to dissolve false identity, moving step by step closer to your highest self, the truest essence of you, unbound by limitation or fear. There is a truth few dare to consider. You are not merely a human living a single linear life, from birth to death. Within dreams, you sometimes encounter other versions of yourself. Someone living in a distant city, someone who chose an entirely different profession, even someone with a past and memories unrelated to the present. These experiences are not simply random byproducts of the subconscious. They are like doors slightly opened, revealing the true nature of consciousness, multidimensional, multi-reality, multi-versioned. In many ancient cultures, from South American shamans to Eastern sages, humans were never regarded as a single being. They believed that we live many lives in parallel, experiencing multiple layers of existence simultaneously, only that the waking mind is too narrow to perceive it. Dreams, with their freedom, become the bridge that lets us step into those other layers of ourselves. Quantum science hints at the same idea: the many worlds. Interpretation suggests that every decision, Every unchosen possibility branches into a new timeline. This means that right now, there are countless yous existing, each living a different story. When you dream of a life that does not belong to your present, it may be that you have just touched another timeline, not as a spectator, but as a coexisting fragment in the quantum field. Such dreams often leave a powerful, unforgettable impression. You wake up with the feeling that you have just returned from a long journey, carrying the memory of another life. Some describe it with such clarity that they remember street names, the faces of loved ones, even the scent of the house where they had lived. And the astonishing part is, these memories do not vanish like ordinary dreams. They cling to the mind, urging you to ask, could it be that my consciousness is truly multidimensional? Spiritually, this is the moment you begin to realize you are not just a body, not just the present mind. You are a network of infinite experiences, a soul stretched across many dimensions of space and time. Tibetans call this Bardo, the intermediate realm where your versions intersect. The ancient Greeks saw encounters with gods in dreams as a way of accessing timeless wisdom. And in Chinese philosophy, Zhuangzi once asked, "Did I dream that I was a butterfly? Or is the butterfly dreaming that it is me?" That question itself is the reminder. The boundaries between your versions have never truly existed. When you understand that your consciousness is multidimensional, you begin to change how you see yourself. You no longer feel trapped in the single story of the present. Instead, you learn to listen to the strange fragments from dreams, treating them as messages from another aspect of your being. A self who may have already overcome the fear where you are still stuck. A self who has found the love, success, or peace you long for. Each dream becomes an opportunity to download the experience of another version of you. Quantum analogy gives us a clear picture, like radio frequencies coexisting, but you only hear the station you tune into. Dreams are the moment you turn that dial. Some nights, you accidentally synchronize with the frequency of another timeline, and you hear the music of that life. That feeling of familiar yet strange in dreams is the sign you've just caught the signal of another self in the quantum field. And the deepest meaning is this: when you recognize yourself as a multidimensional being, you begin to live differently in the present. You feel less fear, less bound by the past, because you know reality is only one choice among infinite possibilities. You can shift frequency, you can choose another you, and dreams are the proof that this is always possible. So if one day you wake up from a dream that unsettles you all day long, do not dismiss it. See it as a message. You are a multidimensional being. You are not living just one life, but taking part in countless versions of yourself in this universe. And every time you recall such a dream, it means you have just been handed the chance to step closer to the truth of consciousness' infinite nature. If there is one thing you should carry with you after watching this video, it is this: dreams are not just dreams. They can be transmission channels, quantum bridges where your future self sends signals back to you, so you remember who you are and where you are going. Recall the last time you dreamed of another version of yourself. Perhaps you were living a strange yet vivid life. Perhaps you were older, calmer, wiser. Or perhaps it was a moment where you saw yourself stepping out of the future. When you woke up, you could still feel it in every breath, every step. That was not random. That was a transmission. In quantum physics, space and time are not absolute barriers. Information can move across distance, across time. Synchronicities, vivid dreams, repeating symbols. All of these may be traces showing that you are touching your own future. And every time it happens, you are given a choice: to return to the old path or to step into a new timeline. If you have ever dreamed of standing before a door, a never-ending hallway, or an inviting light, then please understand, you are being called. Your future self is testing whether you are ready to step through that threshold. It is not an empty dream. It is an invitation from the quantum field. Do you want to become the higher version of yourself? And this is the moment for you to answer. Not with a silent promise in your mind, but with a small action that carries weight in the quantum field. Leave a comment with the words, "I crossed the dream gate." This is not just a sentence. It is your declaration to your future self. It is the signal sent back that you have received the transmission, that you have heard it, and that you are ready to step into a new reality. Imagine this. Each time someone dares to say, "I crossed the dream gate," the quantum field lights up a little brighter. Its resonance grows stronger. And from that moment on, your future self can send transmissions to you more clearly, more quickly, more powerfully. You are not alone in this journey. Millions across the world have had the same experiences. Strange dreams, encounters with themselves in another form, unforgettable messages. And each of them, when they dared to believe and dared to step forward, began living in another timeline, a timeline where they are truly themselves. So, if today you feel this is not just a video, but a calling, let your heart answer. See dreams not as broken fragments of memory, but as maps of guidance. Because it may very well be that your future self has brought you here, so that you realize in time, the moment of transformation has arrived. And when you turn off this screen, the question will remain with you. Will you live as the old self, or will you cross the dream gate to meet yourself again?